stop. Put that shovel down. Don't pull that pepper plant just yet. I know exactly what you're thinking. The air is getting cooler, the leaves are starting to droop, and it feels like the season is coming to an end. So you're about to do what most gardeners do: pull the plant out, toss it into the compost pile, and plan to start over next spring. But that decision might be costing you far more than you realize. What if I told you that the plant you're about to throw away could keep producing for years? Not just one season, but 5, even 7 years under the right conditions. Here's the truth. Most garden centers don't tell you. Bell peppers are not naturally annual plants. In their native environment, they are perennials. That means they're designed to live, grow, and produce over multiple seasons. In this guide, you'll learn how to turn a single pepper plant into an ongoing source of harvest, what I like to call an infinite pepper factory. And the best part, it requires less effort than starting over every year. So why does almost everyone treat pepper plants like annuals if they're actually perennials? The answer is surprisingly simple and a bit frustrating. Garden centers label peppers as annuals because in most climates, they don't survive winter outdoors. Once temperatures drop below around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, pepper plants begin to struggle. And when frost hits, they die. But here's the key detail most people miss. They're not dying because their life cycle is over. They're dying because of cold exposure. Peppers are tropical plants. They love warmth. If you protect them from freezing temperatures, they don't die. They go dormant. Think of it like a long nap. And when spring returns, something incredible happens. Instead of starting from scratch like a tiny seedling, your plant wakes up with a fully developed root system. While others are waiting months for growth, your plant is already strong, mature, and ready to produce often weeks earlier, with much higher yields. If you want your pepper plant to live for years instead of months, the first and most important decision is where you grow it. And this is where the strategy completely changes. Most gardeners plant peppers directly in the ground. It seems natural, but it creates a major problem. When winter comes, they have to dig the plant up to save it. And that process damages the delicate feeder roots, causing stress and often killing the plant. Instead, the key is to never plant it in the ground at all. Use what's called the forever container method. From day one, plant your pepper in a large pot that will serve as its permanent home. Size matters here. Avoid small containers. A pepper plant that's meant to live for years needs space to develop a strong root system. A minimum of 5 gallons is required, but 7 to 10 gallons is ideal. For even more convenience, place the container on a wheeled plant dolly. This allows you to move the plant easily into the sun during summer, into shelter during storms, and indoors during winter without disturbing the roots at all. Once your plant has a permanent home, the next step is building the right foundation, and that starts with the soil. This is another area where many gardeners make a critical mistake. Using regular garden soil in a container might seem logical, but it quickly turns into a dense, compact mass that holds too much water. This suffocates the roots and often leads to rot. What pepper plants really need is soil that breathes. A simple and highly effective mix consists of 3 parts. First, about 50% high-quality potting mix to keep the structure light and well-draining. Second, around 30% compost or worm castings to provide steady nutrients over time. And third, this is essential 20% perlite. Perlite creates tiny air pockets throughout the soil, allowing excess water to drain away while keeping enough moisture for the roots. Pepper plants do not tolerate wet feet. If their roots sit in water for too long, they begin to drop flowers and stop producing. With the right soil mix, you create a stable environment where the plant can thrive for years. This next step might feel a little uncomfortable, especially if you've spent weeks carefully growing your pepper plant. but it's one of the most important techniques for long-term success. When your plant reaches about 6 to 8 inches in height, it's time to do something that seems counterintuitive: cut the top off. This process is called topping. Naturally, pepper plants tend to grow straight upward. If left alone, they become tall and thin with weak stems that struggle to support heavy fruit later on. By removing the top, you interrupt that vertical growth pattern and force the plant to redirect its energy. Instead of growing taller, it begins to branch out, forming 2 strong main stems in a Y shape. This creates a lower, bushier, and much sturdier structure. Think of it as building a strong framework early on, because over the next several years, this plant will need to support dozens of peppers at once. A solid structure now prevents breakage later and leads to a far more productive plant. This is where many gardeners accidentally reduce their harvest without realizing it. It usually comes down to one simple habit: waiting too long to harvest. Most people love the look and taste of fully ripe red peppers, so they leave every fruit on the plant until it reaches that stage. But from the plant's perspective, that sends the wrong signal. A fully ripened pepper means the seeds inside are mature, and when that happens, the plant believes its job is done. It slows down flower production and begins to shut down. If you want continuous harvest, you need to trick the plant. The strategy is to pick around 50 to 70% of your peppers when they are fully grown, but still green. This signals to the plant that reproduction hasn't been successful yet, pushing it to produce more flowers and more fruit. You can still leave some peppers to ripen fully for flavor, but not all of them. By balancing early harvesting with a smaller number of ripened fruits, you keep the plant in production mode all season long, turning it into a steady, ongoing source of peppers. One of the most frustrating experiences for any gardener is waking up to find a healthy plant suddenly stripped bare overnight. Deer, rabbits, and other animals can destroy months or even years of work in just a few hours. For plants grown directly in the ground, the usual solution is fencing, but that can be expensive, time-consuming, and not always effective. This is where the container method gives you a major advantage. Instead of trying to block animals out, you simply move your plants out of reach. By placing your pepper containers on a porch, balcony, or raised deck, you create a natural barrier. Many animals are hesitant to climb stairs or enter elevated spaces close to human activity. Even small pests tend to avoid open, exposed surfaces. This simple change in placement can protect your plants without the need for chemicals, traps, or barriers. And as a bonus, having your plants closer to your home makes them easier to monitor, care for, and harvest regularly. If you want your pepper plant to live for years and keep producing consistently, feeding it the right way is essential. This is where many gardeners unintentionally hold their plants back. A common mistake is relying too heavily on nitrogen-rich fertilizers. While nitrogen promotes lush green leaf growth, too much of it leads to a large leafy plant with very few peppers. For a long-living, productive plant, balance is key. One often overlooked nutrient is magnesium. Pepper plants rely on it for strong cell structure and efficient photosynthesis. Without enough magnesium, growth slows and yields drop. A simple way to supply this is by using Epsom salt, which is magnesium sulfate. About once a month, mix 1 tablespoon into a gallon of water and apply it to the soil or as a light foliar spray. In addition, use a slow-release fertilizer that is higher in phosphorus and potassium than nitrogen. This combination supports steady growth, strong flowering, and continuous fruit production, exactly what a long-term pepper plant needs. Everything you've done so far leads to this moment, the transition into winter. This is where most pepper plants are lost, but with the right approach, this is also where you secure years of future harvests. When nighttime temperatures begin to drop toward 50 degrees Fahrenheit, it's time to move your plant indoors. Thanks to the container method, this process is simple and stress-free. Step 1 is pest control. Before bringing the plant inside, carefully check under the leaves for insects like aphids. A quick rinse with water or a light treatment with neem oil helps prevent bringing pests into your home. Step 2 is light pruning. Unlike plants grown in the ground, you don't need to cut it back aggressively. Just remove any damaged branches and harvest remaining fruit, keeping the plant's overall structure intact. Step 3 is placement. Move the plant to a bright indoor spot, ideally near a south-facing window. If natural light is limited, a basic grow light will work perfectly. After moving indoors, the plant may drop some leaves. This is normal. It's simply adjusting to lower light levels. Reduce watering and allow the plant to rest. By late winter, new growth will begin, and that's when your advantage becomes clear. Once your pepper plant is producing consistently, you may find yourself with more peppers than you can use fresh. Instead of letting them go to waste or simply freezing them raw, there's a much better way to preserve both flavor and texture. Roasting peppers transforms them completely. Place whole peppers under a broiler or over high heat until the skin begins to blacken and blister. This step isn't burning, it's developing flavor. Once they're fully blistered, transfer them into a bowl and cover it tightly for about 10 minutes. The trapped steam loosens the skin, making it easy to peel away. What you're left with is soft, smoky, and naturally sweet pepper flesh. These roasted peppers can then be frozen and used later in soup sauces or meals, bringing back that rich summer flavor even in the middle of winter. It's a simple technique that turns surplus into something truly valuable. At this point, you can see that growing peppers doesn't have to be a one-season effort. With the right approach, a single plant can become something much more valuable, a long-term, reliable source of fresh harvests. By understanding that peppers are naturally perennial, you shift your mindset from replacing plants every year to maintaining and improving them over time. The key steps are simple but powerful. Give your plant a permanent home in a properly sized container. Use well-balanced soil that allows roots to breathe. Shape the plant early so it grows strong and stable. Harvest strategically to keep production going. And most importantly, protect it through the winter so it can return even stronger the next season. When all of these elements come together, the results compound year after year. Instead of starting over each spring, you begin ahead, already growing, already producing, already thriving. If you apply this method consistently, your pepper plant won't just survive. It will keep giving back season after season.